Oops. Hello? There we go. Back again for another week. This time I'm going to be streaming the creation of a scene. I just did last week as a one-off, but so many people came and seemed to enjoy it and watched it again afterwards. I thought, what can I do this week? And so I'm going to create the opening scene of Chapter 10, which is the New Republic fleet arriving at Bafash after the attack from Chapter 9. So just a couple of ground rules before we get started. Let's try and avoid spoilers for the last episode of The Mandalorian, just to give people a few more days to catch up with it. Although I'm sure there was something in it that a lot of people are very excited about. But just in case anyone watching this hasn't seen it yet, we're trying to keep the spoilers down, but just in case something slips through. Well, Luke and Han's face are actually scanned from the characters. Excuse me a second, just get rid of that. So what I did, I think I explained it in the video last week, is I used the screenshots of the Han, Luke and Leia from EA's Battlefront games, because the characters in that are fairly accurate, and so the character creation software which I was showing off last week has this plugin where you can create a character model from photos. Now initially I wanted to use photos from when the original trilogy were made, but the camera technology back then wasn't that good, so they're kind of grainy and the lighting's off. You need to have very specific lighting for it to work, otherwise you get shadows actually attached to the texture of the face rather than dynamically as the character's moving around. So it didn't really work. So I thought about the Battlefront games, and that's why I decided to do that. Glitch Knitter, yeah, I don't know. Glitch Knitter is the voice of Winter in Chapter 2, and she appeared briefly in Chapter 4. So hi, Glitch Knitter. But you should be able to watch it again tomorrow at a more reasonable hour. Echo Base Network, I am on Twitter. Just look up, actually, hold on a second. No. You can tell I don't use... Actually, you can't see what I'm doing. I don't use Twitter that often, but you can message me on it if I give you... at Darth Angelus, one word. So yeah, message me, send me a DM there, and we can arrange something. I'd love to come on your show. So if you message me when I'm streaming, I will get back to you when I'm finished, because obviously I can't do too much at once. I mean, last week I ended up talking to you guys so much I didn't really get much work done, and I suspect that's going to happen again today. But that's kind of part of the fun. It's nice to see so many people from all over the world coming to watch this, and so far all I've got is an X-ray on the screen. Also, I'm from the UK as well. Just in case you couldn't tell from my accent. Alright, I'm going to get started. I mean, I've already put this one X-Wing in. Let me finish Heir to the Empire before I get onto any of the books. And I probably should do Dark Force Rising and The Last Command before I do anything else, really. Right, so let's have a look at this X-Wing. I put this in first, so I can use it to scale all of the other ships. Sleep well, Glitch Knitter. Yeah, I know you'd like me to do the Crystal Star. I mean, it's everyone's favourite Star Wars book ever. And you want to be the voice of Waru. The problem with doing the Crystal Star is, so on April Fool's Day I did a fake poster as if that was what I was going to do next, because originally I thought I'll do a trailer for it. Well, I beat you to it because you keep asking me if you can be the voice of Waru, and I would be happy to let you do it. But yeah, I was going to do a fake trailer and say this is what's coming next. Then I realised that I have to read the book again to make a trailer that actually made sense, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I think I made it about 20 minutes into the audiobook. There was actually a live action fan film, it was announced a couple of weeks ago, that's adapting the Shadows of the Empire book. I don't know how they're going to pull that off, but the trailer looks quite impressive, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. You can look it up on YouTube. I don't have a link on hand, but if you look up Shadows of the Empire fan film, I'm sure you can find it. I'd be very interested to see how that turns out. Anyway, Glitch Knitter, you sleep well, if you're still listening. And I hope you have a good day at work tomorrow. The other thing I'm really hoping to do is that other filmmakers and animators see Heir to the Empire and take up some of the other books. It'd be good to see, other people tackle these stories. I know they've got the Shadow of the Empire, which I already discussed. There's a Dark Empire 2D animation, which they've done the first chapter, I believe. And that was really well done. So yeah, I want to see many people do fan films of the books, not just me, because if it's just me, it's probably going to spend my entire life doing it. And yeah, there's a lot of books and a lot of comics to do. Also, someone on Twitter tweeted at me the other day saying that he's working on I'm assuming it's a he. I do apologise if I get that wrong. But they're working on a fan comic of Vector Prime, and I've been meaning to check that out, which I should do. I just had a lot to do the last few days, so I haven't had a chance to sit down and have a read. But again, that's another fan project that I'm really excited about. And once again, I've noticed that I still haven't got started because I'm talking to you guys, which is good. I do like the conversations we have here. Yeah, thank you so much for coming as well, all of you. Alright, so in Chapter 9, Han says that a 20-ship convoy is coming to Bafash. As you can see, here's Bafash. I've basically used the same virtual environment as the battle from Chapter 9. I've cleared out all the Imperial ships because I don't need them this time. But the planets are still there, the same, and the moons. And this one X-Wing, which is Wedge's. It's got... it wasn't actually until recently I realised that different X-Wings have different paint jobs. I was getting excited for squadrons and the customization features, and started looking into it, and then found that there are subtle differences between all the Red Squadron X-Wings. So I've had to retexture this one to be Wedge's, and if you look in really close, I even put the Rogue Squadron logo on the S-foils there. Anyway, so yeah, I've made this really tiny, so I am going to zoom out. And as I was saying, Chapter 9, Han says it's a 20-ship convoy. So I've worked out a list of ships. Hi there, nice to see you. It's been a long time. Yeah, so I've worked out a list. So I've got 2 Mon Calamari cruisers, 3 Nebulon B frigates, 5 corvettes, 5 freighters, and 5 transports. Because I figure that they're going to be bringing a lot of medical supplies and stuff like that. So you need transports for all of that, not just warships. So we're going to start putting them in. And alright, Echo Base Network, what's your Twitter account? If you post a link to it in here, I'll open it up and then I'll contact you. I don't know why the DMs aren't open, but post a link to your Twitter here, and then I'll open it in a tab, and then I'll reach out to you after I finish here. Right, so yeah, ships. So I had let me go to Twitter. Actually, I'm going to send you a quick DM now just to make sure it's working, because if there's a problem, then at least now we can figure it out. So let me just go with that. Okay, I just sent you a quick DM, and then it looks like it went through. But yeah, we'll figure something out after I finish here. So at the end of Chapter 9, I had the Millennium Falcon and Luke's X-Wing flying away from Coruscant, and Luke goes off in one direction and the Falcon joins up with the fleet. So I did have 2 ships. The problem is I can't, there's so many. No, I did have the one with the wings. I don't know if that was the right MC80 there. What's this one like? This is the kind of thing I should have looked into before. Yeah, that's the one, the 80B. So I will delete that. Well, I haven't finished the episode yet. This is just the opening scene. I've got some other work on it done. I just want to do one like a space shot that's fairly simple. So I've got a huge amount of glowing bloom there. So I'm going to turn that off for now, and I'll figure out the proper lighting later. So these are backwards, so we're going to change them around 180 degrees, not 1800. Happens all the time. I'm going to increase the size a bit because that's not the right scale, but that's fine. If I double the size, nope. So as you can see, there's a bit of a shadow problem there. That comes with this setting. Liz, I hope you're reading the book. Reading it will be a lot faster than waiting for me to finish every chapter. I've been working on writing the script for additional chapters though. So I've got that cruiser the right size. Just going to make this one the same and space it apart just a little bit more. I think it's probably better if we don't discuss the sequels too much. They're very divisive. As I said last week, I know that some people like them and some people don't, and some people like parts of them and some people don't like parts of them. So there are many other places on the internet to discuss the sequel trilogy, so I don't think we really need to worry about it too much here. We're here just for Heir to the Empire and general Star Wars chat. 26 of you are watching right now. It's nice to see so many people have come out to watch this. Alright, so we've got the 2 cruisers in place. What's next? 3 frigates. That's not at the right angle. Yeah, they can get very tense, and really I just want to hang out and chat with you guys while I'm making this scene, and that's way too big. And kind of show you what goes into making a shot. This is actually a fairly simple shot because it's just ships flying. Actually, that is the right size. I have watched Rebels. I have to admit, I did really enjoy the show. I think the biggest problem they had with Thrawn in it was they spread the story out over a 20 episode season, and I think Thrawn is a very hard character to write because he's a hard character to write because he's so intelligent. And I remember even Timothy Zahn said at this as a panel at a convention that his biggest problem with writing Thrawn is Thrawn's a lot smarter than he is. So trying to write a character that can think so much at such a high level is very challenging. And I think they gave the writers of Rebels I know some people didn't really like what they did with Thrawn too much, but I feel like they did their best with him, and I appreciate that. But a couple of times it felt like they didn't really know how to get the Rebels characters, the main characters of the show, to escape from him, because they're a small group, and Thrawn's got his huge task force. But yeah, I don't know if I can really explain it. I mean, I liked Rebels and what they did to Thrawn. I was kind of worried that they were going to kill him off at the end of season 3, which is a spoiler, I guess, for anyone who hasn't seen Rebels yet. But I'm assuming that anyone listening to this who wants to watch Rebels has probably done so already. If not, I do apologise for the spoiler there. Yeah, I have seen The Mandalorian. I think we should avoid spoilers for the latest episode, just because it gives people more chance to who haven't had a chance to see it yet. I know that there are things in that particular episode that I'm sure are very exciting that we would like to discuss, but let's save that for next week. I try and give people time to watch the latest episode. I'm glad you like Thrawn in this. I told the story last week, but I'll tell it again. So, in 2016, I was making a Star Wars fan film called Imperials, which I finished. If you want to, you can check it out on my YouTube channel. And Thrawn was a big part of it. And there's this voice actor, Robert S. Benjamin, and I've worked with him before on a couple of other projects. And I knew that he would be a really good Thrawn, his voice. So I contacted him, and said, "Is this character Thrawn in the Star Wars fan film? Would you like to do it?" He said yes, and so I sent him the Wikipedia entry, so you get an idea of who the character was. So he agreed to do it, and he read all the information. He read the script I sent him, and then he sent me the recordings a few weeks later, because it takes time for the recordings to be done. I listened to them. I was really pleased with the portrayal. I didn't really have much time to do anything with them because I was going to Celebration in London, because that's where it was. Celebration Europe was in London in that year. But that was fine. It meant that when I got home from the convention, I'd be really hyped for Star Wars, and it gave me something to look forward to when I got back. So then I got up at 6 a.m. to go and get the wristband for the Rebels panel. It's the only panel I decided to go and see. But I really wanted to go and see what the Rebels one was going to be, because they were going to show off the first 2 episodes of season 3. That's all they'd said that they were going to do. And some of the voice actors were there. But they didn't say anything about what the content was going to be. So I got up at 6 a.m, got the wristbands, went back to the hotel room, slept for a few more hours, because the panel wasn't until late afternoon. So I went to the panel, I sat down, and Dave Filoni and Sam Witwer, and I can't remember her name, but she's the actress that played Sabine. They came out on stage and they started talking, and Dave Filoni said that we're going to show the trailer now. So everything went quiet, and the season 3 trailer started. And I'm sure you've all seen the season 3 trailer by now. It's a bit halfway through. It suddenly cuts to the Empire. It says, "We need someone who sees a big picture," and then the whole room just kind of, like, there'd been cheers and people kind of chatting excitedly as we were watching the trailer, but everything went completely quiet as soon as she said, "We need someone who can see the bigger picture," and she starts building up, and the music starts playing, and you just see this officer in the background, and then he kind of comes out of the shadows, and it's Thrawn, and the whole room just went completely nuts at Thrawn's first appearance. And I listened to his voice, and then watched the rest of the trailer, and everyone was going really getting really excited. And then the trailer finished, and Dave Filoni started talking about Thrawn being back, and all the reasons for doing it, and that was really good. And then we got to the episodes. After the panel was over, they showed the first 2 episodes, and listened to Thrawn, and he was kind of very similar to the way that he was portrayed in Imperials. And obviously I hadn't finished Imperials yet. I'd only just got Thrawn's recordings a few days before the convention. But yeah, I was really pleased that Dave Filoni and I obviously had a very similar idea of what we wanted Thrawn to sound like. The main difference is Thrawn Imperials didn't have the accent, because Lars Mikkelsen is Danish, and so he brings that accent with him. Whereas Robert is American, and so he spoke with more of an American accent, but he had this similar way of portraying the character, even if the accent was different. So yeah. So I finished Imperials. I was very pleased about that. And then when it came to making this, I did chapter 1 as just a little experiment. So I thought, well, I want Thrawn to sound good, even if I'm experimenting more with the space battle. I just wanted to make a space battle, and this seemed like chapter 1 of the book seemed like a good way to do it. So I went back to Rob and said, "I want to do this. Would you like to be Thrawn again?" And he said, "Yeah." At this point he had watched Rebels, and he decided he wanted to give the accent a try as as a test of his acting skills. And I said, "Okay, if you want to do that." So he did, and so he's trying to match more closely to the Rebels version of Thrawn, and I'm happy with that. And I know that a lot of people who have been watching the Heir to the Empire project haven't read the book or didn't even know it existed, because they're more familiar with the new Star Wars and just want more Star Wars content. So it makes it more recognisable to them, which is fine for me. And then it encourages them to go and check out the book, because it's going to take me a while to finish animating it all. So that is the story of Thrawn's voice in this series. Right, sorry, that freighter's a bit dark, so I need to adjust the texture. Just a little bit too far. It's supposed to be grey, not white. There we go. I do not have a Discord server. I thought if I were to set one up, I would probably spend so much time talking to everyone there, I wouldn't get any work done on the series. So as fun as it is to talk to everyone, I do actually need to to make some of the episodes sometimes. How long does it take? Well, I don't write the script per episode. Well, what I did first was I wrote chapter 1 as a script because that was all I was going to do. And then I released it, and then so many people asked me if I was going to make any more. I thought, okay, I looked into all the technical problems of, do I want to do this or not? Is it possible? So what I decided was, I wrote the script for chapter 2, 3, and 4, as in that's one script, and I sent that to the voice actors so that they could record the whole lot, and then I could just work on it and animate it as they sent me their recordings. And then I extended that to chapter 10. So I then sent the script for chapter 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 to the voice actors, and again they record it and then send it to me. I haven't got all the recordings for chapter 10 yet, so I can't finish it, but it's not, there's no fixed time scale I can give on how long it takes to produce one chapter. I can say that it depends on the complexity of the scenes. So for instance, chapter 9 had a fairly big space battle, which is very complicated to animate. Whereas the other parts of chapter 9 is Han, Luke and Leia talking about Bafash and some other things, which is basically they're just standing around in a room, which is a lot easier to animate. And I've got a motion capture suit, so I was in my living room pretending to be all three of the characters. I'm having a problem here. There we go. So as far as the animating characters goes, as long as I can, things like standing around talking or walking, they're fairly simple because I just act out the scene. Although I don't have a lot of floor space to do that in, so I sometimes have to be a bit creative if it's going to be a lot of walking. But things like effects, the facial animation, that's quite tricky because you have to, and the lip sync as well. I do not enjoy doing lip sync that much because you kind of have to go through and make sure the lips line up with what the characters are saying, and it can be quite tedious. I do enjoy the facial animation for the most part. There are a couple of times where it gets a bit tricky. And then of course the render time. That, as the character, so the last few months this software has had some updates to the, hold on a second, my transport's missing. Yeah, so the character models have had some updates that make them more detailed. It also really slows down the render time. So chapter 8, the scene with Thrawn and Pelion and Sabaoth in Thrawn's chamber, that took 34 hours to render, and I had to do it several times to fix different issues with it. I do have a new graphics card which arrived a few days ago, but it's very unstable with this computer system. So I've ordered some more components which have not arrived yet, so I can't put the new graphics card in and have faster render times until those new components arrive. Which reminds me, I should probably check. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so So hopefully I'll have there's new components and new graphics card in before I have to render another long conversation like that, because once this computer starts rendering, it's very difficult to do anything else. It just slows everything down to a crawl, so I wouldn't even be able to stream. Well, I mean, rendering isn't particularly exciting to watch anyway. But yeah, I don't know why this transport hasn't been. Yeah, I got more powerful. The PSU is fine. It's the CPU that was a problem. It's quite. Basically, it's 9 years old, so I've got another one coming. The PSU is it's 1,000 watt PSU, so it does meet the requirements. I have read that comic as well. It's rather good. So this transport model is using the old texture system, and I was sure that I had updated it to PBR. It's also massive compared to the ship, so I have to shrink it down a bit. I prefer iClone. I've kind of experimented a little bit with Blender, but never really got the hang of it. So it depends on what you want to do. I'm sure that this particular scene I'm working on right now, you could do in Blender quite easily. I don't know how it handles character models or anything like that, or sort of character animation, faces, and that sort of thing. Also, I don't really know too much about Blender's rendering, although Blender does have more. I guess Blender does have more powerful options. Like this doesn't have motion blur, so if you get an object zooming past the screen, you can't make it blur, which is something that frustrates me a little bit because it would be really useful in fast space scenes. I think that's about right. Maybe I'll make it to 40. No, that's too far. Of course, Blender is free, which is a huge advantage, whereas iClone is not. But if you wanted to try out iClone, there is a trial version. I think it's. I can't remember if it's 2 weeks or a month, but if you check out realillusion.com, you can you'll find all the details of the trial there. That would be my recommendation. Is to just try out the free version and see how you get along with it. Well, in theory, motion blur is done automatically. So it does. I do have one motion blur option, which only works in a specific way, and I'll demonstrate it here, so you can have a look. Lenses blur. So if I was to have the camera zooming forward, like this, and it would make it makes it blur around the edges. It does slow down the rendering just a little bit, but not in a noticeable way. I mean, not like the new character models or anything like that. Look, if I really max it out, I don't know how well this is being picked up by the stream, but if you look at the edges, and then if I get that X-wing in the middle, you can see that it's not blurry there. I mean, it's good if you want a shot of something coming right towards the camera rapidly, that would work, I guess. But it only works in that direction. So if this X-wing was to fly from right to left, like that, and do that, it looks wrong. But that's my only motion blur option that I've got available in iClone. I'll turn that off now because it's kind of distracting to work with it like that. But there we go. Yeah, I'd like to see more motion blur options than just that one. Now these transports are much smaller than that. I think that's about right. So I had 5 of these. Well, I'm glad you're finding it interesting. So on a big budget production, or so only the films, or the Rebels TV series, or any sort of the CGI scenes that The Mandalorian has, or even non-Star Wars productions, they'll use probably not this particular software package, but they'll use something similar, and it'll be a similar kind of approach to animating a scene. So let's say in Rogue One, when they were doing the big space battle scene, they would, you know, place all the ships like this, and then they would make them move around in the software. I imagine that what the software they were using was probably a lot more powerful than this, which you know, I don't have access to that. But on the other hand, I like iClone. It suits me really well. So I've got the five transports, and I need 5 corvettes. That's the wrong button. Oh, you're welcome. So why don't I have a corvette in here either? I've got several different folders of Star Wars ships. Oh, there's the transport when I couldn't find it just now. Some of these go back to Imperials. Well, I would suggest waiting a little bit. I wouldn't go for iClone 7 right now, because they're kind of due for iClone 8 at some point in the near future. They haven't really announced anything, but based on past experience of how long the software is in use for, buying iClone 7 at this point might not be the wisest idea, because you just have to upgrade again to 8. I actually don't mind doing that, but yeah, I don't know why the site wouldn't claim to no longer exist. It might be worth contacting them and seeing what happened there. And they haven't really announced anything for 8 just yet. I mean, they've still got a few more things for 7, and I don't know how much COVID has slowed down development on the next update for 7, or what they're going to do for 8. But yeah. And again, the Corvette model has the wrong texture type, but it's only takes a moment to fix that. bit longer than the transport because it's a lot more textures to work with. Actually, is this the right Corvette model? Yeah, so once I've finished each chapter, I will upload it. I like to release them on Thursdays. So if I were to finish a chapter on a Monday, I will upload it and then set the premiere date to be the next Thursday. Because it means that people have got something to look forward to over the weekend if they can't make it to the premiere. Supremacy was a really good game. I've played it so many times. I kind of wish they'd release a mobile version of it. I don't mean making a new game called Supremacy. I mean just take the old game, brought it directly to mobile platforms, and then I can play it on my phone or on a tablet. Because it's a game that I think would work really well on a touchscreen. Well, thank you, Hazard Lizard. I do appreciate your kind words there. I was sure I had a better Corvette model than that. This is one that came from X-Wing Alliance. Ripped it straight from the game. I'm pretty sure I had a better Corvette model though. Let's do a quick search. No, apparently that's the only one I've got. Well, I'm going to leave that in for now, but I'll probably look for a better one and replace it later. Looking for 3D models is probably not what you want to see, so see, I took the Thrawn approach to playing Supremacy and never built the Death Star. I just built loads of Star Destroyers. So that's a bit small. Still a bit small. That's about right. There we go. So I need to put 5 of those, 4 more of these in. I also need to change the colour of the engine glow. What's really handy is you can just drag and drop textures like that. Yes, this is for the next chapter. Right, so I've got that in. I'm going to copy. This is for the next chapter, but the next chapter isn't finished yet. As you can see, I'm still working on it. But there we go, we have the 20 ships. I'm just going to play around with the positioning just a little bit so that you can see them all on screen at once. I hope he heard the part where I said that chapter 10's not finished yet. Yeah. But hopefully he enjoys watching 1 to 9 again. Yeah, I expect I will do that. I've kind of been tinkering around with the chapters so far. But yeah, it'd be nice to have a sort of complete a super cut, so you can just sit back and watch the whole thing. Well, if you want to do that now, I've put all of the chapters so far in a playlist, so you can just start with the opening crawl, sit back and watch all the chapters back to back. I mean, you still get the little post, little post video clip that says, click on the next video and so on, but you don't have to do that if you watch the playlist, because it just plays it automatically. I realise I should probably save what I've done so far, because I haven't. That works too, but if you look on my channel, you'll find the Heir to the Empire playlist, and it's got all of the chapters so far. You can just click play on that, and then it does the same thing. Right, so I've got all 20 ships in, and then the next thing to do is to make them all drop out of hyperspace. So obviously they're already in position here. So yeah, I mean, every time I release a new chapter, I add it onto the playlist, so it's all done, all ready for people to watch. Oops. Apparently I was using the wrong setting there. That's alright. Yeah, so all the 20 ships are in position, and I need to make them drop out of hyperspace. So what I'm going to do is, this is the formation I want them to appear in when they are actually out of hyperspace. But I need to work on this basically in reverse. So we're going to go through this. I'm going to do the 2 cruisers last. But let's start with, maybe if we start from the bottom of the list, that would probably be easier. Right, so the way this animation works, you've got this timeline. So we are 70 frames into the scene, which is basically 1 second in. Actually 60 would be exactly 1 in, but slightly over 1 second in. So I've set the position here. This is where I want the ship to be at the when it drops out of hyperspace. So I go back a bit further, let's say here, and I'm going to make it zoom off into the distance. And I drag that position, copy it to the start of the scene. And what you should see, very distantly, because it's near the back of the formation, it's going to appear just about here very rapidly, because when ships come out of hyperspace in Star Wars, they do that. So if I play the scene, there we go. So basically I'm going to have to do this for all 20 ships. So what's the next one? That one there. do that. Now, as I work on some of the bigger, or at least closer to the camera ships, you should see more of should be more noticeable. I don't want them to appear all at once, because that's not how it works in Star Wars. I want it to be as sort of authentic as possible. This one's a bit closer, so we'll have this one appear earlier. Basically, it's so far back, it's behind the skybox. And the skybox is huge, so even if it was inside but closer to the edge of it, you still wouldn't be able to see it. So you should see the 3 corvettes appear here. So I'm going to keep going. This one should be really noticeable because it's well, not right close to the camera, but it's there. So I'm going to make that zoom back. There we go. See, you want the ones at the front to appear first, because they could potentially fly through the ones behind by accident, and that's not what we really want. It would kind of start this rescue mission in a really bad way. And as you can see, I just moved. You can move the positions further along the timeline if you don't get it right, which I just did because I realised that. And that one. Thank you. It's important to me to try and recreate the effects of Star Wars as close as possible. And if I can't match it exactly, at least try and get it in the spirit of Star Wars. It's kind of how I'm approaching the scenes in the book. Is sometimes things work really well in the book, but they don't necessarily work well in video form, so sometimes changes have to be made to make it work. And as long as you stick as close to the sort of the spirit of the book, I think it works. I mean, a big example I can give is in chapter 1. In the book, it starts with Captain Pelion on the bridge of the Chimera, and he's mostly thinking to himself about the state of the Empire, and he's not happy with it. But he's thinking to himself, not talking to anyone. I know he tells Lieutenant Shell off a little bit, but he's still thinking about why he's doing it, and it didn't really feel like it would make an interesting scene to watch when you could get straight to Thrawn. So occasionally I'll do things like cut those little moments out because it doesn't really work as a video. And I could have done an internal monologue, but never in Star Wars has that been done in any of these TV shows or films. And so it wouldn't really be true to Star Wars if I did that. Because some people have asked me why I didn't include that scene, and well, that's why. I was thinking about when I came to that sort of conclusion of how to handle it. I was thinking about the very first season of Game of Thrones, and I know that later seasons diverged from the books, which I haven't actually. I read the first book after I watched the first season, and one of the things that struck me was the only things that changed were things that wouldn't work well on screen. Like I was just describing, there's a scene where, quite early on, where in the book Tyrion Lannister wakes up in the Stark Winterfell castle, and he spends about 3 or 4 pages just wandering around before he meets anyone to talk to. And it's fine in the book because he can describe what he's seeing and how he's feeling. But on a TV show, you don't want to spend several minutes of one character just walking through a castle, not talking to anyone. So in the TV show, he wakes up in the barn, and he gets up and he steps out and immediately starts having a conversation. And that's the kind of changes that if I have to make a change to Heir to the Empire, it's going to be things like that. Try and keep it as close as possible in a way that works. So I know that. So when I finished the first book of Game of Thrones, I thought I enjoyed watching this more than I enjoyed reading it, so I didn't bother reading the rest of the books. And I know that the series diverged more and more from that point onwards, but as far as the first season and the first book go, it is pretty accurate. Yeah, there's that too. And even if he does, the ending of the books isn't really going to be that different from the ending of the TV show. And I've already seen the ending of the TV show, so I'm not really hung up on needing to see how the books end. I kind of feel like he's probably lost his motivation to finish the books as well, because the TV show beat him to it. I kind of feel like that should be a bit further to the side. Yeah, I remember I think the book 5, the last one, it got released around the time that season 1 was around, which shows how long ago it was. Sometimes the positioning thingy can be a bit off. But yeah, I hope you are all enjoying this. I mean, when you actually get to watch the chapter finished, you can think, well, I watched this get made. I hope you're enjoying it. Definitely faster than waiting for me to do all these chapters myself. I will keep recommending that people read the book rather than wait for me to finish, because it's going to be quicker that way. I'm going to move this freighter, that freighter up a bit so you can see them more clearly. trying to go for a similar shot to when the Rebel fleet arrives at the Battle of Endor. And the last freighter. I think it can come in here. No, it needs to come in here because the transport... Actually, where's the transport compared to it? There was a transport that looked like it was just appearing behind it. Oh no, transport's there. So what I want to do is move it slightly to the side. I do have a good dreadnought model already for when the Katana fleet arrives. I used it when which chapter was it? Chapter 4? There's a flashback where Thrawn's talking about the destruction of the outbound flight, and the outbound flight is 6 dreadnoughts attached together to this sort of frame thing, with a big tank in the middle. So I modelled the frame and the tank myself, and then found a dreadnought model to go in it, and then just duplicated that 6 times. So I can use that dreadnought again when the time comes. I'm looking forward to working on that. I mean, there's so many good moments to come later in the trilogy. Of course, there's lots of good moments in this book as well. Well, talking about changes, one of the other things that was in the last chapter when you see the space battle in the book is mostly told from Thrawn's perspective, well, from Pelian's perspective on the Chimera's bridge. So I added a little bit more, because obviously this is a video, you want to see the space battle itself, even though in the book it doesn't really describe the battle that much. So I expanded that because you want to see it, you want to see things blowing up and the spaceships flying around. And then there's a bit where it's suggested that the planet itself gets bombarded, although it doesn't really go into any detail at all. So again, I added more to the video for that, just to show a little bit of the destruction that's being caused. There are lots of Star Wars books I would like to cover, but I think I really just want to focus on Heir to the Empire first before I plan anything else. And I'd really like to see other filmmakers pick up other expanded universe stories. Because there are a lot out there, and a lot of other stories out there, and a lot of filmmakers out there, and I hope that if any of them see this, they feel like, you know what, I want to do a Star Wars book as well, so what else is out there? And maybe they'll do Jedi Academy trilogy, or the New Jedi Order, or you know, or whatever. I know that there's a Dark Empire 2D animation, which Chapter 1's been released. There's a live-action Shadows of the Empire in production, which is quite an ambitious project. You can find that on YouTube. Well, both those projects are on YouTube if you look them up. Well, there's a live-action Shadows of the Empire. They released a trailer about 2 or 3 weeks ago, which live action is a really ambitious project for any expanded universe story. Yeah, Rogue and Wraith Squadron would be good to see. I see. Oh, don't worry about your typing. I didn't even notice you had a typo there. Yeah, I'm trying not to think about how long it's going to take me to make this. I just want to make it. What I'm doing is I've noticed that you can see the transports in the distance. So I haven't put them back quite far enough. Which one? I think that's... There's one more. That one. I know it's just a little speck, but it'll still be noticeable. And it'll bug me, so I'm just fixing that. That one. Okay. Now we're on to... Well, I did have a life outside this project, but then COVID happened, and so life kind of stopped for everyone. Because I have been trying to keep myself sane by playing video games and stuff like that. Animal Crossing was pretty good when I didn't really want to play anything quite so serious as what I usually do. I've been enjoying Squadrons more recently. I haven't finished the single player story yet. I do enjoy the gameplay. I think everyone's facing it. Yeah. It's one of those things that everyone is dealing with it. Not really sure what else to say about it because, you know, we're all in the same situation, really. Yeah, so I've been playing video games. So I've been Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. I've been playing that quite a bit recently as well. So I've only ever played Resident Evil, the first game, when the first time they remade it for the GameCube. I bought the GameCube as a teenager because of Rogue Squadron, and I didn't want to just buy one game, so the guy in the shop said, "Oh, Resident Evil's really good," so he kind of twisted my arm and I bought that, and I enjoyed that, although I never did actually get around to finishing it. But I can't say I've ever played any of the other Resident Evil games. Well, I did watch a friend stream the more recent remake of 2 a couple of weeks ago, and that was quite interesting. It was just a rebuild. Okay. How did that work? Not being familiar with it. It's funny you say that because I'm going to be using that sound effect for this scene. Those old LucasArts games are great for sound effects. If you listen to the ships coming out of hyperspace and in the previous chapters, it's the same. Again, it's the same sound effect that you're describing there. Okay, so I don't think I missed out by avoiding the new remake of the original. And there we go. I've got all 20 ships coming out of hyperspace. I know the X-Wing, I haven't touched the X-Wing yet because I've got something else in mind for it. So I'll just turn that off actually. There we go. So there we go. I'm just going to keep playing that over and over again because it looks really good. In case you're wondering, these little circles here, lights, because I was trying lighting effects on the engines, and so I'll show you how it works. This one. So the circle is how wide the glow is. So this will light up anything red that's within this circle, or semicircle, because it doesn't shine forwards. Yeah, there we go. So I've got more work to do on this scene, but I'm going to call it a night there because it is 1:30 AM. So what I'm going to do next is have some... I need to show the fighters as well, because it's not just the big ships. And they need to be animated separately. But I want to give you guys a taste of what goes into creating a space scene. This took an hour and a half, and I haven't anywhere near finished it yet. Well, if you want to... I found all of these models online. I think I can't remember exactly where I got them all from, but there are a lot of mods for strategy games, like Homeworld and Stellaris, and there's kind of like a model pack that's been made by Evil Jedi. I say Evil Jedi, it's not actually spelled evil as in evil, it's EVILLE Jedi, I believe that's how you spell it. But anyway, there's this pack of models that is used by all of them, and you can, if you look it up, you can find the model pack, and then that's where a lot of these models came from. And it's what I'm going to be replacing. So I got this Corvette model, which I extracted from X-Wing Alliance, but I think I'd rather have a little bit more of a higher quality one, so I'm going to have to import the Evil Jedi one. Well, they're actually put out there so people can use them. I mean, as long as you credit them, that's why they released it that way, so that people could use them. I mean, you're not stealing it from them. Well, that I can understand. Because kind of like this Corvette is from a 20-year-old game, so it's not that high detailed. Another place you could look is sci-fi3d.com, I believe it is, and there's some higher quality models there, which I think around a little bit, but they're a little bit too high poly for this software to handle well, especially if I've got lots of them on screen at once. There's that too. I mean, X-Wing Alliance is 20 years old. I remember playing that. No, it's 21 years old now. Nearly 22. I remember playing that game so much. It does not feel like it's 22 years ago. But that's where this one came from. And it definitely needs to be swapped out for a better one. And look at that compared to the frigate behind. That's a bit more detailed. I actually broke my joystick playing X-Wing Alliance. The mission where I think it's one that you have to go and rescue the Bothans, and the executor drops out of hyperspace. Well, it when I was playing it dropped out of hyperspace right on top of my X-Wing, and so I was having to dodge all this turbo laser fire because it decided I was going to be its primary target, and I managed to do it and finish the mission, and then the joystick just stopped working because of that manoeuvring. Which I was enjoying the game, but then I couldn't play it for a few days because I had to go and replace the joystick. But it's a good, it's a fun memory. I need to replay that game again. I still got the new joystick I replaced the old one with. Hopefully it doesn't kill it, because it's lasted quite a long time and it's still a good, decent joystick. Oh, thank you for sharing my work with all those people. Thank you. I do remember the Phantom Menace game as well. It was fun. I still preferred Jedi Knight though. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it here for now. I'm thinking I might try and do this every Monday around this sort of time. If I haven't got anything to show for Heir to the Empire, I'm probably gonna stream playing a Star Wars video game or something. I haven't decided yet, but it'd be nice to make this kind of a weekly thing. Yeah, it wasn't the best of games. I did enjoy the lightsaber combat more than... So I wanted to... I mean, I guess everyone was impressed by the lightsaber combat in Phantom Menace, as in the movie. And of course, the Jedi Knight game was made before that, so it only had the original trilogy lightsabers to go on. So it's nice to have a little bit more faster swordplay, but Jedi Knight still was the better game. And of course it had multiplayer, so you could lightsaber duel on the people, even if it wasn't that much fun to do. So I couldn't get into Starfighter. I guess I was more into the original trilogy era, so games based on the prequels didn't quite grab me as much. Yeah, Jedi Academy was a lot of fun. And it did have that faster lightsaber combat, but of course it was made when the prequels were already in production, so we'd already seen that faster style. Well, Lost Files, this is iClone. Which you can check out at realillusion.com. There's a free trial version. I can't remember if it's a 2-week trial or a month-long trial. But you can check it out there if you want to give it a go. I do remember that email. In fact, of all the emails you get in the game, that's the one I've always remembered. I think it's one of the first emails you get. I remember reading it and laughing, and it stuck with me all these years. Yeah, I remember getting those extra options. I already played through Academy once. I bought it on the Switch because I thought it'd be fun to play. So I bought myself a Switch early on in the pandemic so I could play video games when I was waiting for things to render, or if I just wanted to not be at the computer but couldn't really go anywhere else. And of course I got Jedi Outcast and Academy on there, but I haven't finished playing through them all yet. Well, I hope you enjoy using it. I think there's still sales on. I got the emails about this. There was the Black Friday and Cyber sales, but since I already got the software, I have to admit I didn't really pay that much attention to the current sales because I didn't really need anything else. Oh, that's a pretty good price. Yeah, I'd like to combine all 32 chapters into one video when it's done. I've kind of tinkered around doing it with the current chapters I got so far. I mean, I don't want to release that because I'd just be releasing. I'd want to release all 32 in one go rather than. Yeah, you did, but you know, I don't think South Master was around for that first question, but I don't mind answering questions more than once. It's to be expected, really. See, I never really got into the Battlefront games. The old ones or the new ones. I've played all of them. The newer ones are really good because I could use the character models or the face screenshots of the characters to generate models for this project. Because there's no denying that the new games do look rather good. Yes, if you check this stream I did last week, I was doing the character for Wedge, and I was talking about there's this plugin that you can use with that piece of software where you can generate the character model. It's the face of a character from a photo, and I couldn't use photos of the actors from when the films were made because the cameras that they were using to take photos or to film, they were kind of grainy, so those grains would appear on the textures of the characters, or you'd get weird lighting from the shadows and so on. But I was able to use screenshots from the new Battlefront games for that effect because the characters look pretty close to the actors. I don't actually have a Patreon. I've got Coffee, which is more or less the same thing, but I prefer it. Well, I hope they don't copyright strike me too. I'm going to keep making this as long as I can. If they do complain about it, then I will deal with that when the time comes. Fallen Order, I really enjoyed that game last Christmas. It's very much like the Jedi Knight games. Oh, thank you. I know that the pillion was a bit rough to start off with, but then when I made that first chapter, I was more interested in the space battle and less interested in the performance of the characters I voiced. I just wanted to voice, apart from Thrawn, I thought there's 3 other characters in it, and I thought I'm just going to voice all of them because I just want to do this as a test video. I did not expect it to be quite as well received as it was. If I had known that, I might have put a bit more effort into the voice acting. Oh, so this is the opening scene of Chapter 10 of Heir to the Empire. What I was doing, let me switch to the right camera angle, was the New Republic relief fleet dropping out of hyperspace. No, it's Heir to the Empire. So I'm taking the novel Heir to the Empire and I am turning each chapter into animated videos. So this is for chapter 10. Chapter 1 to 9 have already been released. Yeah, Heir to the Empire was released in 1991. This is a time when Star Wars is pretty much considered a dead franchise, which is hard to believe now. It was written by Timothy Zahn, and it basically revived interest in Star Wars. So everything that was released since then, even the special editions, the prequel trilogy, Clone Wars, all the video games that you've been talking about, everything is down to this book because no one was interested in Star Wars at that point until the publisher decided to take a risk and tell this story. So Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn was the first book. It's a trilogy, and that's the first book. It's set 5 years after Return of the Jedi. And the New Republic has basically risen, and the Empire's in retreat. It's very small. And then Grand Admiral Thrawn has taken over the Empire, and he's if you're not familiar with the character, he's a strategic genius, and he basically rebuilds the Empire as a huge threat to the New Republic. Well, Darth Obsidian, someone else is already working on that with a live action video. Thrawn's theme for Rebels has been appearing quite a bit in all the videos so far. Every time Thrawn appears, I put his theme in because it's such a great piece of music. But Shadows of the Empire, the book, and the video games would not exist without this. Yeah, so Heir to the Empire is the book where Thrawn was first appeared and was first created. So, what you should do is, when I finish the stream, go back and check my channel and watch chapter 1, and it'll give you an idea of what this is, because I've been working on it for about 1.5 years now. And it'll kind of give you an idea of what Thrawn's first story was. Then I suggest you check out the book itself, because reading it will be quicker than waiting for me to finish all 32 chapters. I don't know what I'm going to do after the Thrawn trilogy yet, because it's so far ahead, and someone else might beat me to it. It'd be interesting to see if anyone was brave enough to take on the whole Yuuzhan Vong story. That's 19 books, though. I think we should not discuss the latest episode of The Mandalorian for people who haven't seen it yet. I'm trying to work out how long. I guess a lot of the books were shorter than Heir to the Empire, but it'd still be a huge amount of work to release 19 books worth of story. Anyway, I said I was going to call it a night, and I've carried on talking for about a quarter of an hour because it's so much fun talking to you. Yes, there will be Easter eggs, which is another reason I'm not going to show all of this shot. And there's other things I've hidden throughout. But yeah, Thrawn is pretty much my favourite Star Wars character, so making this series is a kind of a dream project. It's kind of... He doesn't appear for a few more chapters, but I really enjoy working on his scenes. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to call it a night now, for real this time. I'm probably going to stream again next Monday. I don't know what I'm going to be streaming yet. It'll either be working on something to do with Heir to the Empire, or if I don't have anything I want to show, because I don't want to show making everything, because it's nice to have surprises in the actual videos themselves. Yeah, so if I don't have anything to do with this, maybe I'll stream playing a Star Wars video game or something like that. I don't know which game it will be yet. I kind of got an itch to replay TIE Fighter, so maybe that. That was one of my favourite Star Wars games. But yeah, thank you all for coming. I hope you've enjoyed the show. It's been great chatting with all of you. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying the space battles. I don't have an N64. And I wouldn't really know how to, even if I did, how to get onto streaming that. But well, I'm glad that I helped you this last hour of work. So yeah, good night everyone. I'll see you all next week. May the Force be with you. And I've got to figure out how to stop the stream.